What have we known so far about vaccines and treatment drugs against COVID-19? And how many studies do we have at present across the globe addressing novel coronavirus disease? And when the results could be published? The answers to these questions here on June's Adventures. Hello YouTube friends and welcome to June's Adventures. In compliance with the WHO's advice on physical distancing from social or group events, make sure that when you are at home or whenever you are at home, you move, you turn around, you walk to stay healthy, to promote good circulation. That's why I'm doing this. I'm just kidding. Corny na naman, wale. Anyway, kidding aside, we are all vigilant on hearing news on vaccines that will eradicate our invisible enemy. And we might be asking ourselves, where are we right now with respect to achieving that goal? So I created this video to answer that question and to help us gain more understanding on the underpinnings that the researchers or the scientists have to go through whenever they subject their innovations or treatment drugs or new vaccines for experiments, also known as investigational new drugs, before they become available to the public. And I also hope that after watching this video, we will be more patient and prayerful while we are waiting for those medications or vaccines to be delivered to our hands. So let's watch this.
The SARS coronavirus 2, also known as SARS-CoV-2, the virus causing COVID-19, has put several communities into a lockdown, and in a matter of roughly 3 months from the inception of the virus, the disease has become a global concern. A lot of people from all around the world are getting sick every day, and not all of them recover. It is believed that the mutated virus originated from an infected bat, then transmitted to a pangolin, an ant-eating mammal, then to humans, and the nightmare began. There's no specific drug against COVID-19, but treatment involves symptomatic relief. For instance, hydration and medications for fever and pain. And for severe cases, patient might need O2 support or oxygen support and even mechanical ventilation. And as we try to slow down the progression of the disease to its peak, several pharmaceutical companies intensively accelerate the completion of experiments on vaccines, antivirals, and other treatment drugs against COVID-19. According to the scientists, it may take about 12 to 18 months before we can access the vaccines. How new vaccines or drugs are being tested before they get approved for marketing by the Food and Drug Administration or FDA. Here's the process. The sample of the pathogen like the coronavirus is being isolated from an infected host. Then, compounds of the new vaccine or drug are combined with the pathogen and observed for its desired effect in the preclinical in vitro testing. Since living entity like the virus may not behave in petri dish as they would within the body, further testing in animal models is needed. The mouse happens to have similar genomes with humans and thereby generally used for preclinical in vivo testing. Drug absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion are being studied in this preclinical in vivo testing. Toxic levels are also analyzed. Once safety, potency, and efficacy have been established, the study can proceed with experiment involving human subjects. There are 4 phases in a clinical trial. Although they are conducted sequentially, they may sometimes overlap. Phase 1 targets 20 to 80 participants to initially test drugs' safety to humans, identify side effects, and determine therapeutic range. Under Phase 1, we have 8 studies involving vaccine, biologics, and stem cell therapy. Phase 2 is conducted to several hundreds to treat individuals with the disease or people who are at high risk for developing the disease. Under Phase 2, we have 15 studies involving biologics, steroids, stem cells, and drugs for HIV and malaria. Phase 3 involves about 3,000 participants. It seeks additional information on drugs safety, effectiveness, and labeling for its limited use. Investigational new drug can also be compared with other commonly used drugs to treat the same condition. If the new drug is safe, effective, and beneficial, it gets approved by the FDA for marketing. Under Phase 3, we have 12 studies involving steroids and drugs for HIV and malaria. Phase 4 involves long-term monitoring for safety, effectiveness, and side effects associated with chronic use of the drug. The drug can also be studied for possible use in various patient populations. Under Phase 4, we have 4 studies involving steroids, interferons, and drugs for HIV and influenza.
So the studies that they mentioned are listed in clinicaltrials.gov. And clinicaltrials.gov is a web-based resource that contains information on study protocols, on investigational new drugs, including medical devices, and it's available for all of us. Whether you are a health professional or not, you can access it anytime as long as you have the internet connection. It doesn't require username and password. The website was created because the Food and Drug Modernization Act of 1997 required the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services through the National Institutes of Health to establish a registry of clinical trials on investigational new drugs. Among 8 clinical trials under Phase 1 that are registered in clinicaltrials.gov and currently recruiting participants, 3 are specific to vaccines. And among the 3, 1 is about to complete in June 2021, and that's in Georgia and Seattle, Washington, while the 2 other studies are expected to conclude on December 2024, and that's in Guangdong, China. And among 15 Phase 2 clinical studies that are registered in clinicaltrials.gov and currently recruiting participants, only 1 is specific to vaccine, and that's in Guangdong, China, which is expected to complete in June 2023 but may extend up to December 2024. The WHO also released their draft of R&D blueprint or research and development blueprint, and as of March 2020, we have 44 vaccine candidates, and among 44, 42 are undergoing preclinical testing while the 2 are already in the Phase 1 of the clinical trial. And one of the Phase 1 vaccine trials is expected to be completed in December 2020, and that's in China. Let me just summarize the process of clinical trial for investigational new drug like vaccine or drug before it gets approved by the FDA for marketing. So first, it undergoes preclinical testing, and preclinical testing involves in vitro and in vivo preclinical trial. So in vitro preclinical testing, we observe the compound or molecule of the drug or the vaccine and its interaction with the microscopic particles or small particles of the virus or bacteria or any pathogen in the petri dish or test tube. Then once the desired outcome is satisfied or met, it can proceed with the in vivo testing, which involves the use of animal models like the rats. And in the in vivo testing, we try to establish the safety, efficacy, potency, toxicity of the drug to the system of the animal model. And once all these measures or outcome measures are favorable, then it can safely be introduced to human for the Phase 1 of the clinical trial. In Phase 1, we want to establish the safety, efficacy, and therapeutic dose or range of the drug or vaccine. And then in Phase 2, we want to look into the short-term side effects associated with the use of the drug or vaccine, or the body's reaction to the drug or vaccine. And then in phase 3, in the context of vaccines, since we do not have an FDA approved vaccine yet against COVID-19, we want to figure out or analyze in the future the outcomes of those people or individuals who got the vaccine versus those who didn't. So outcomes may include the presence or absence of the disease, or blood levels that would indicate whether you are at high risk for developing the disease or not at all. And those are just some of the questions that need to be answered in phase 3 of clinical trials involving vaccines for COVID-2019. And if there's enough evidence to suggest that the drug or vaccine is safe, effective, and that the benefits outweigh the risks, then kalas, it gets approved by the FDA. We can get the vaccine shot. Phase 4 is the last phase of the clinical trial. It involves post-marketing surveillance as it collects data about side effects associated with long-term use of the drug and even effect of the drug in various populations like pregnant women, for example. And those are the phases of the clinical trial. If you want to read more on studies on COVID-19, I'll put the links below. And if you happen to come across this video by mistake or by purpose, please leave your comment, tell me your insights about the topic, and share the innovations your community is implementing to help prevent the spread of the disease. And if you like this video, please don't forget to leave a thumbs up, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you all soon, guys. Thank you for watching. Till next time.